Hello and welcome back. We are going to be discussing today about equal justice before the law. That was the discussion for this week at Taco Tuesday, and it's in relation to this week's Torah portion called Mishpatim, which means laws. And the Torah commands us to have equal laws, that you should go to scholars, and when there is a court case, you sit in front of that scholar and he would solve the dispute between you, and that will be a beautiful thing to do. So it says in Proverbs chapter 24, verse 23-24, says like this, and this is the introduction to the whole topic of today and what we discussed about. So it says, Gam ele lechachamim. Also these laws, these rebukes that the Torah has are for wise people. Don't think, oh, I'm wise, I don't need this. No. These two are for the wise. What is important for the wise? To find favor in judgment is not good. For the wise people, to find favor in judgment. Oh, this person's poor. This person's important. We must find favor in him. That is something which is not good. Bal tov, and I'll read the words in Hebrew. Gam ele lechachamim, haker panim b'mishpat, bal tov, to find favor in judgment is something not good. Amar lerasha, by the way, the word bal means not, but it's also bet is the first letter of the Torah, and lamed is the last letter of the Torah. So if you look at the entire Torah, first letter is Bereshit, bet, last letter of the Torah is lamed, and it's telling me that a person who gives bad judgment in court is going against the entire Torah. This is very serious. And the verse continues and says, Omar larashat tzaddik, someone who says to an evil person, you are good, you are righteous, then yikevu ahamim, people will curse that person. The person that says to the wicked, you're good, people will hate you. And even more, yizamuhu leumim, nations will get angry with this system, with this court system, because once you allow this, then it's going to be allowed in other countries, and it causes problems and anger around the world, not just in your own space. That's how important it is to have a court system. This is a requirement for Jews, non-Jews alike. So let's just kind of understand what he's saying. Solomon is addressing the wise. I'm reading here from my paper, emphasizing that showing favoritism and partiality in judgment is not something that we should do. He warns against declaring a wicked person as righteous, as it will lead to curses from the people and anger from nations. And he says these two are for the wise. Why? Because most of his book of Proverbs was written for the young. Like he says at the beginning of his book on Proverbs, the 4th verse, that it was written for the pta'im. It was written for the innocent and for the young. And you see a lot of his rebuke in the book of Proverbs is for the young. And in that book, though, he says these two are for the wise. The rebuke is for the wise also, but this specifically is really for the wise, that they must not find favoritism in court. And the entire Judaism, the entire humanity depends on a fair and just court system. If someone tells the wicked that they are right, and to the righteous that they are wrong, this will make people and nations very, very angry. And of course, today we discussed this as one of our discussions. In our generation today, we are watching a world with a lack of discipline for the most part. In Western civilization, we hate the concept of discipline. There are no rules, there's no hierarchy. Don't tell me what to do. Let me do whatever I feel and want. And we are watching the result of that. A world with no discipline and no guidance and no one pushing you and no one telling you, come on man, you can do better. Then you're not going to grow. And many people are making mistakes, whether it's financially, what kind of job they take on. Many people are making mistakes in terms of dating, waiting way too long for dating, making mistakes in terms of having children, and so on and so forth, all because we don't have a system of discipline as much as it used to be. So we are watching a society with no discipline, and in the old days, some of us remember too much discipline, and that wasn't good either. It makes you hate and detest anything you're told, and it makes you not do things for the right reasons, but only because of the discipline. Too much discipline, not good. Too little discipline is not good. You need the fair balance. And in court, specifically, we have to have discipline, but we also need to have someone who's going to have a listening ear to understand what the situation is, who the person is, and so on. In Psalms 89, it says, Mishpat mitachat kisei kavodecha, that law and justice is something that sits under the throne of God. Meaning that when we as human beings make court systems and we judge correctly, we affect the throne of God. What does that mean? You can't really affect God, but that's the place, the most godly place for us on earth. That means that we have the power to be partners in God through courts, through making correct judgments. And that is why it's so important. It's one of the greatest things, and we'll see that very soon. But here's a discussion that we had. What is the reason that people sometimes favor the poor or the victim? Why is that wrong sometimes? Well, an example of myself, and this is where we're talking about court systems, but Judaism doesn't just apply to the court, it applies to our life also. And in our life, my life, when I come home and I see one kid laughing and one kid crying, my nature would be to judge the kid that's laughing as the wrong kid. For sure, he's causing the trouble, that's why he's laughing, and that's why the other child is crying, but it's wrong. That's why it says in Pirkei Avot, Ethics of Our Fathers, the first verse, the first Mishnah in Pirkei Avot, in Ethics of Our Fathers, says, Hevu metunim badin, be slow to judge, don't judge too quickly. Because when you judge too quickly, you know what you'll do? The laughing kid will be wrong straight away. Of course, there's a crying child, but that could be nothing further than the truth. You could have in your house a laughing child. You know why he's laughing? Because he doesn't know what else to do. The other child, let's say, was crying and said, give me that toy. And he wants a toy that the other child just got. So he snatches the child crying, snatches the toy from the other child. The other child laughs. And laughs and laughs and laughs. So the kid grabs it, holds onto it, and he's still crying. So the other child's laughing. That bothers him. You're laughing. So he goes and hits him, punches him. Now there's two. He gets punched. The kid that's laughing got punched. And now he doesn't know how to react. Well, this is crazy. What, I'm going to cry now? He laughs even harder. Ha, you can't hurt me. I'm laughing. And this kid that's laughing, and the other kid that's crying, that went and hit the laughing kid, the kid that's... I could easily have come in the room and judged the laughing kid, and that's wrong. Because the kid that's crying could be very wrong. He's the one that snatched the toy. He's the one that hit the other child. And now he's crying knowing he's wrong. That's why he's crying, because he knows I came in the room and he's scared maybe. Or because he knows he's wrong. So there's many times where the poor could be judged as, oh, that's a victim, we should have mercy on him. But the wealthy also needs mercy. There's times where someone owns property, he's renting out, and we feel bad for the renters. But the person that owns the property, he's on major loans. He doesn't know how he's paying his next month. He's got a huge overhead. And if someone's not paying the rent, he's in trouble also. So there are always situations where you need to judge both evenly in court. And that translates to us in life as well. We then had some other discussions. One of them was why giving favoritism in court is worse than stealing. Stealing doesn't go under the throne of God, but a bad court system, that can affect the throne of God, so to speak. Obviously, you can't really affect an infinite being, but the idea is because when we legalize what's illegal, when we say what's illegal is fine, totally fine, you could do that, that's okay to steal. If you're poor, it's okay to steal if it's under a $500 or under a certain threshold. No, it's not. There are underlying rules. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not murder. It doesn't matter. There's a difference, by the way, between murder and killing. Right? If someone comes to kill you, you have the right to kill him first. But when it comes to certain rules, there's overlying themes and rules that a society needs in order to live, and God has given us those rules as well. So finding favoritism in court can be so dangerous. A wrong court can be so dangerous because what you're doing is you're making what's illegal legal. Someone once came to me, Rabbi, I won in court. I said, what did you win? I won the case and I don't need to pay the money. But I said, but you owe the money. So you legally don't have to pay, but you still owe the guy money. There are times where we can take money legally, but it's still illegal. Take a child, have custody over a child. Legally, the court said it's okay now. It doesn't make a difference. That doesn't mean it's really right to do. We don't need to be legal. We need to be right. So that was one of the discussions. And then we discussed what would be if you were hurt by your friend financially or personally. So your friend that you trusted for many years hurts you. What would you do? How would you react? Give 3 ways, or 3 of the best ways to fix it. First of all, I wrote here, it's your friend. And since it's your friend, the first thing we need to do is judge favorably. My friend normally has been always kind, good to me. So let me first try and understand why this week specifically he hurt my feelings. Why this week specifically he hurt me in a certain way. Once I do understand, then I can start trying to figure out, to go over to him. That was one of the things we said, is that you should give someone rebuke if they hurt your feelings. Don't just leave it, because then there will be hate in your heart. So a person should express their pain. And Maimonides says that if someone hurts you, you should say, that really hurt me. So that way that person will take the rebuke, that's a mitzvah, and he will improve. So we discussed that, and we also discussed that sometimes you need to keep a distance. If you see that somebody that you know has been inappropriate to you, then there is a good thing in keeping a distance, which is what we call kabdeu v'chashdeu. You respect the person, but then you also suspect them and you make a certain distance, since you know that they have the ability to go against what was just normal way of being a friend, right? They went against you suddenly. Okay, so we moved from a segue of courts to life, to real life, which is, in real life, me, you, everybody is a judge. What are we judging? We are judging our friends all the time. We judge our people all the time. We judge our boss all the time. We judge our spouse all the time. People around us are judged by us all the time. And our goal should be to give benefit of the doubt. When you give benefit of the doubt, you are not being partial. You are not judging on one side, saying, oh, he is bad. For sure he's bad. We're not allowing my feelings to get in the way. I'm allowed to actually see the bigger picture and then make my judgment. So that's why Rabbeinu Bechaye explains that good laws and a fair judgment in court is instrumental in bringing peace in the world. He says that scholars are the ones that Chachamim Marbim Shalom Ba'olam, they are the ones that increase peace in the world. So when someone judges right, you bring peace to yourself also. When you judge people right, you bring peace to yourself. And that's why it's really important to always give benefit of the doubt, because you don't know. You just saw one part of the scenario, and as a judge, you have to see the entire scenario before you can even make a judgment. So we spoke about how I can be more in peace in certain scenarios. There were 3 scenarios that I gave. Let's talk about them for a second. The first scenario that we said was my friend cancelled an important lunch meeting at the last minute. Last minute, I was meant to have a meeting with my friend and he cancelled. Well, the late Rebbetzin Sharon Schenker of our community of Aish used to say, give excuses for people. If you want to trust people, give them excuses. If you want to get along with people, give them excuses. What excuse would you give? If someone came late, well, maybe they are in traffic. Maybe they are rushed. If they didn't text me, then obviously they have been so busy and overwhelmed, they didn't have the chance to even message me and tell me that they can't make it. All of those things will be good for me to get along with those people again in the future and be a good judge. Okay, my friend sees me stranded in the rain, but doesn't stop to pick me. What excuse will I give? Well, maybe he didn't see me. No, he saw you. I waved at him and he waved back. Yeah, but maybe he had stuff in his car. Maybe he had people in his car. No, I saw he never had someone in his car. Yeah, but maybe on the floor of the car he had stuff. No, he had nothing in his car. I looked, I put my head in the window and I saw. Okay, but maybe he's on the way to the hospital. And so on and so forth. And most times when you actually find out the real story, you know what it was? Yes, it really was that those excuses were true and he really couldn't give you a ride. Okay, and the final scenario that we said where you should give benefit of the doubt was a person I choose to date is not showing interest in what I have to say this week. Well, maybe they're going through a difficult time, maybe they're suffering, maybe they're having problems at home, maybe something else is going on, maybe I am saying something wrong, maybe I'm talking too much and not giving them the ability to speak. So I need to rethink, but I need to give excuses for that person so that I can give benefit of the doubt and continue, even if this date doesn't work, continue to date with other people and have hope in humanity. So you see, when we give benefit of the doubt, we have peace, inner peace within ourselves. Finally, the discussion was about this week's Torah portion, of how equal justice before the law relates to Mishpatim. So this week's Torah portion is called Mishpatim, or laws in Hebrew, and the Torah tells us that it's always best to settle a monetary dispute or any dispute with a scholar that's wise and will not be partial. Me too, I need to be wise. We need to figure out what's this wisdom that this scholar has to have in order to not be partial, because we need that wisdom in our life so that we can give excuses and give people benefit of the doubt. So I said, give me a reason why those that are in court need to be wise. What is the wisdom that's needed to be a fair judge in court? And people came up with some beautiful ideas. One of them is that he's able to overcome his intellect over his emotions. A person that is wise sees ahead and is able to explain to the person in front of him ahead of time so that he can solve the dispute. A person that is wise is someone that listens, that waits, doesn't just instinctively jump to conclusions, waits. And that is the greatest lesson of all. That if you want to be a great judge, a true judge in your own life, give people time. Give your children time, wait, find out the whole story, and then you will be able to give benefit of the doubt. Final story before I go, and that is that there was a great story of a friend of mine, a rabbi, that had a daughter, and his daughter in Israel was going on Shabbat from house to house, where they do these groups where they read Tehillim, they read some Psalms, and little kids, they get candy. And his daughter was collecting a lot of candies. Every home she went to, she asked for extra. And she had this thing where she had bags of candies. And at some point, this really bothered her father. And he went over to his daughter. He said, "What are you doing? Why are you collecting so many candies?" And it came out that she was collecting these candies to give to kids that had problems, that were sick or were having difficulties. And she wanted to create her own Tehillim group in her house. So she was collecting enough candies that eventually she'll have a whole group of people saying psalms in her house. And here we go, a father who said, "Why is my child collecting so many candies? What do they need that for? That's bad for you." And really she was doing it for others. So in life we must always give benefit of the doubt, and that was the theme, that we should have equal justice before the law. And that translates into our own life, where we have real equal justice, equal a judge that is able to think and not just instinctively say, "Oh, the poor person's right. Oh, the wealthy, the influential is right." No. First, let me see the whole picture. Let me be smart. Let me be wise. And also us, we need to bring our Mishpatim in front of the wise. Whenever we have a dispute within ourselves, go to a chacham, go to a wise person, a scholar, someone that's learned, and listen to what they have to say and guide you in what's right and how to react correctly, as opposed to just immediately bursting with reactions. Thank you for listening, and I'm excited for next week. Thank you.